Hey everybody, welcome back for Proverbs 19, 16 through 29. I'm glad you're here. Thanks for joining us today. If you've got any questions or comments, please leave those in the comment section below. And if you could, share this out with your friends list or at least like it and let people know you're watching. That way we can get some more joining us here every weekday. And anyway, I'm glad you're here. We'll start with Proverbs 19, verse 16. Whoever keeps the commandments keeps his life, and he who despises his ways will die. So this one, whoever keeps commandments keeps his life. So, or keeps the commandment, kind of threw me for a loop to start with this morning, because it's like, which commandment? Which one are we talking about? It says keeps the commandment. The way I understand it, after doing a little bit of study on it, is basically a rule follower, one who keeps commandments in general. Keeps his life. That's a beneficial way to live, is by following the rules and commandments. We find quite a few of those in the Bible, and just in general, rule followers tend to keep their life. But he who despises his ways will die. So those who are not rule followers, those who maybe set out to break the rules, tend to get in situations where they're like, oh man, I don't know why I do this, but I just keep doing it. I pick this habit up and I can't get rid of it, or I don't know why I ruin the relationships in my life in this way, but it keeps happening and I don't understand. So that's what comes to mind when it says he who despises his ways will die. Actually, specifically Romans 7:15 comes to mind, where Paul says, "For I do not understand my own actions. For I do not what I want, I do the very thing that I hate." So the actual word there for hate is not the same word that's used for despise here in Proverbs, but it's what what kind of came to mind for me. But anyway, so he who despises his own way, his own actions, will die. So if you continue going down that path of breaking the rules and kind of hating yourself for it, death will eventually await you. Verse 17, whoever is generous to the poor lends to the Lord, and he will repay him for his deed. So if you're going to lend money to someone, I think the Lord would be the best candidate for that. I would rather be indebted to him, not as if that is as possible. But if you're going to give money away, I would do so diligently and purposefully, and in being generous, instead of wasting money on whatever budget item it is for you that tends to go beyond what is planned. Again, we see the generosity piece coming back, and how that puts us in a good standing, and how that comes back to benefit us in the end. Not that we are generous for the benefits of it, but just the fact that that's the way generosity works, is that when you are generous, it ends up benefiting you more so in the end. Verse 18, discipline your son, for there is hope. Do not set your heart on putting him to death. So basically this contrasts disciplining your son with putting him to death. So by not disciplining your son, you're basically pushing him down a path that will lead to his demise, his death, his destruction. This is obviously not sex specific, so this would also apply to daughters. But it's interesting here, it says, discipline your son, for there is hope. There's still hope for our sons and daughters, no matter what their age, and that there's still hope. Obviously, as they get older, your discipline changes, your conversations change, and there comes a point in your sons and daughters' life. So I understand that the relationship changes to where you don't really have the opportunity to discipline anymore. But there's still an opportunity there for advice. But again, this kind of contrasts discipline with your kids with basically leading to their demise and destruction. So when you're getting those sideways looks from somebody in the grocery store for disciplining your son or daughter, just realize or know that you are keeping them from destruction in the future, and it is a worthwhile cause. Verse 19: a man of great wrath will pay the penalty, for if you deliver him, you will only have to do it again. So if someone has an anger problem, a man of great wrath, he's gonna pay the penalty. Again, death and destruction comes to those who don't follow the commandments that were given. And if you take it upon yourself to deliver the man of wrath, you will only have to do it again. So if you go to his rescue, just plan to do so again, and that it's not going to be a last time thing. Verse 20: listen to advice and accept instruction, that you may gain wisdom in the future. Again, we're talking about how to become wise and how to further our wisdom and knowledge, and the best way to do that is by listening to advice and accepting instruction, not being prideful, but accepting and taking in all the advice and instruction we can get. But this points out that is an investment in your future. That it's not necessarily advice and instruction may not necessarily help you today, but it is an investment in gaining wisdom for the future. It's a future looking, forward looking thing to accept advice and instruction today. 21: many are the plans in the mind of a man, but it is the purpose of the Lord that will stand. So many, we as humans make plans and aspirations and different things that we have for our lives and what we want to do, and we have lots of those, and I think that's natural, and I think that's normal, and I think it's a good thing to have plans and goals for what you want to do in life. If the other option is laziness, then it's better to have plans. But ultimately, it's the purpose of the Lord that will stand. And so, whatever plans you do have, it's our responsibility and our place to understand that ultimately it's up to the Lord to set out what we're actually going to do, and we need to surrender to that. Verse 22: what is desired in a man is steadfast love, and a poor man is better than a liar. So this is another one that kind of threw me for a loop, I guess. And basically, it's contrasting two things that didn't really seem related to me at first. So the first part of the verse is, what is desired in a man is steadfast love. Okay, so what people want from other people, what is desired from a person is steadfast love and consistent love. And then it contrasts that with a poor man is better than a liar. And so basically, in order to see that steadfast love, obviously you wouldn't do so with a liar. Like, you're just in seeking said steadfast love in that desire, you're better off with a poor man than a liar. A liar is not going to give you steadfast love. You're not going to have steadfast love from a liar. We've talked about how the poor are not favored in Proverbs, and many times it talks about how the poor man has no friends, but the rich man has plenty, that type thing. And so in this case, it's saying it's better to be a poor man than to be a liar, in the interest of having steadfast love and giving steadfast love. So hopefully that makes a little bit more sense to you now. Verse 23: the fear of the Lord leads to life, and whoever has it rests satisfied, and he will not be visited by harm. So the fear of the Lord, the respect of the Lord, leads to life, and whoever has it rests satisfied, doesn't have needs, doesn't have, is satisfied. They have what they need, and he will not be visited by harm. So there's a protection in respect and fear for the Lord. So again, I go back to this kind of parent analogy for the Lord, and that when we have respect for the Lord, we follow his ways, and we try to go by what he's told us, he protects us from the harm. It's just like, when we tell our kids not to touch a hot stove or to stay away from that edge or whatever, it's not that we're just trying to keep our kids close or whatever, protect our personal interest. Is that we're trying to help and protect them from harm. And so by fearing the Lord and following His commandments, we are self-insuring, self-protecting them from those things. Verse 24, the sluggard buries his hand in the dish, and he will not even bring it back to his mouth. So this is kind of a slam on, well, it's not kind of, this is a slam on laziness, in that the lazy buries his hand in the dish. So he goes for this, handful of food, whatever it may be, and is too lazy even to bring it to his mouth. And so we know, obviously we know laziness is not a good option, and that we should be diligent in seeking Christ and seeking His plans. And so, so that's that. Verse 25, strike a scoffer and the simple will learn prudence. Reprove a man of understanding and he will gain knowledge. So this is not your permission to go slap proud people. It would be a bad day at work if that were the case. But it does mean that if you bring someone that's proud down and you point out their pride and their errors, the simple will learn prudence. The simple will learn wisdom. Reprove a man of understanding and he will gain knowledge. So if you correct a scoffer, you may be able to teach him prudence. But reprove a man of understanding and he will gain knowledge. By reproving and critiquing someone of understanding, they will continue to gain knowledge. Verse 26, he who does violence to his father and chases away his mother is a son who brings shame and reproach. So again, this wayward son who is violent towards his father and chases his mother away brings shame and reproach. Verse 27, cease to hear instruction, my son, and you will stray from the words of knowledge. So again, those who are wise are seeking instruction, are hearing instruction and applying instruction. And this basically points out that as soon as you stop, no matter how much you've sought wisdom in the past, no matter how much you've tried to learn in the past and tried to teach yourself and tried to seek out as far as knowledge goes, as soon as you stop, you will start to stray from the words of knowledge. So it's that constant seeking and that constant working towards wisdom and knowledge that keeps us on the path towards wisdom and knowledge. Verse 28, a worthless witness mocks at justice, and the mouth of the wicked devours iniquity. Again, talking about the importance of being honest and straightforward, and that a worthless witness has no respect for justice, and the mouth of the wicked devours iniquity, just takes in and devours the iniquity. Verse 29, condemnation is ready for scoffers and a beating for the backs of fools. So condemnation is ready for those that scoff, those that are prideful, and beating for the backs of fools. Again, this is not permission for you to go to work and beat on someone who is foolish or prideful. Okay? Just want to put that out there, make sure it's documented. But anyway, so a couple things that we can pull out from today. Constantly seek advice, listen to advice, accept instruction. We're constantly trying to get better, and a person of wisdom will do that. Discipline your son in order to keep him from death and destruction. Be generous. Fear the Lord, and don't be lazy. And do not strike scoffers. Anyway, thanks for being here. We'll pick up with chapter 20 tomorrow, and have a great day. I will see you then.